The Many Doors of Tom Sawyer. Truth is stranger than fiction, but it is because fiction is obliged to stick to possibilities. The truth isn't Mark Twain's A Journey Around the World. Fiction is created with thought, and through life, we find the facts. Life's little breadcrumbs that lead us down a long road of light or dark and sometimes bring people whom we would never meet to the forefront. We all live in a prison of our own making. Some have ponies and others have demons with swords or voters with cards. Nightmares blend and create the world in which we live and work, nightmares that will eventually watch us die, but maybe they can live on to haunt others? As a boy, I was told the tale many didn't know or hear about a man named Sawyer. Each night as my grandmother tucked me in and wished me a good night, she would say poor Sawyer, found a hole, which led to a tunnel full of doors. No more and no less would she say or I would ask. Years between my old life and my new one, I was sitting in a pool of my own depression eating cold pizza, wondering when life would change. College was hard and lonely, I didn't have the trust funds most had or the help from a giving family, I was cast into a sea of knowledge before I knew what to make of it all. This was the tale of every poor country boy, who tried to leave the place he knew behind. Some say there is a light at the end of a tunnel, mine was a knock at the door, the turning of a doorknob and a man that called himself Sawyer. The person that stood before me was a simple farm boy, from a place in Ohio I have never heard of before. He was a weathered person that couldn't have been more than 30, a chiseled monster of a man that had been hardening by the ground that fed him. Something told me that he came from a time long before the dirt was ripped away for the old Ohio iron. Ohio hid a lot of things now lost to time. Some of them were doors. Every town or city, shack, or hotel has one thing in common. A door. If you take a moment and look to the left or the right, you will more than likely see a door. For a door is a simple thing, that hides a world of complexities. So what do you think Sawyer found, down the long tunnel of iron? Long rows of doors, to the left and to the right. I was going to save that part of the story, dear reader. But I had to tell you, and I guess you already figured that much of it out anyway. After all, you did just look at the door, didn't you? When the door opened, I saw a tall sandy, brown-haired man dressed in dirty bib overalls, greeting me with a look both of puzzlement and fear. This shirtless well-tanned man was a person we didn't see today. This mold was broken when cell phones rained down from heaven. A hard-working creature, that drifted with the dust and lived on the ground. Farms have become replaced with weight rooms lined with computer screens and bowflex. Sadly, to stitch a muscle people use a needle and not the hay bell. The man that opened the door was surprised by the television, lights, and other items that filled my living room. You can tell, when a person sees technology for the first time, this is nightmare fuel to the virgin soul. I can only imagine the looks on the faces of the masses when they first saw Tesla's light show at the World's Fair, or the horror in the eyes of the victims that fell into H.H. Holmes' home of endless horrors. Technology has a way of bringing out the best and worst of a person in different ways. I still remember the look on his face, when he saw me reach for my cell phone. For a moment I was ready to call the police, but that voice again told me to hold on a minute. Just a moment longer to see where this was going. Looking back, I am glad I listened to that voice. His voice sounded young and old, rusty and tired. His first words to me were, "Sorry mister, I don't mean to intrude, but I have been walking through doors all night and I am as tired as a fox in a hen house. I'm hungry and I just want to go home. Can I take a moment and get my thoughts together? The hallway is long and cold, dark and grey." "You're not an imp, mister, are you? Mother told me imps live down in wells." I was digging a new well for Sally, my milking cow. The boys down the road wanted to meet her, but I said no in protest. "She's a good milker, I say." At this point, I was both confused and on the fence. I didn't know what to think of his story until I recalled grandmother's story, but how could a little tale she would say every night have anything to do with the man that opened my door? "Come on in, you already got your foot in the door," still half thinking this was some type of joke I found myself saying, "Where did you park your car?" "Car? You talking about an auto, mister? I have old red Ford tractor, she doesn't run well, but is all I need. I am sure she is where I left her, back up beside the hole I fell into." "No sir, I have no need of an auto, the farm supply brings out what I need, and the Gwen's up the road, the boys that wanted to meet my cow. Buy up everything I don't use." "Don't you go into town for anything?" I asked. "No, sir, town is for foxes with money and I don't have any." Pointing, I said, "Take a seat on the couch, let me get you some cold pizza and you can rest up and finish your story."